Well, here it is again. This is a day flight test with the HUBSAN X4 H107C. The last one that I did was at night, and we've seen that the camera was totally useless at night. Right now I'm at, my elevation is probably 25 feet. We're getting up to 30 feet. From this angle you get a pretty good idea how close I am to the St. John River. It's only about like 75 feet to that shoreline, or that first shoreline. Also, if you notice that tree on the left hand side, that tree is about 80 feet high. It's a big old jack pine. From what you're looking at now is the experimental farm across the river, and well, I did a complete turnabout there. That's the southern horizon that we're looking at. Now these quick movements in that, they're caused by several things. One is wind, and the other is electromagnetic interference. Now keep in mind, this is not first viewpoint. I have to stand on the ground and look at my device. So that's a challenge, and when it gets up to over 80 feet, it's just a dot up in the air, so I don't really know what it's seeing. Here's a jack pine that has taken quite a beating over the years. What was interesting is that that tree was planted back in 1960, and it was only about 4 feet high. Now it exceeds 75 feet. It's had a good life. I do see that the future is that eventually I'm going to have to cut it down. The direction that we're looking at is now the western horizon, and again, like these flutters, I can't see them from the ground. The device looks like it's stable, but obviously the photos. The video speaks for itself. I did a soft landing. That's the other thing that I'm trying to do is, have no crash. And on the outside, it's tricky because the device is so small that the least bit of wind affects it. So now I'm trying another re-entry at about 4.5 feet off the ground. That's what my altitude is. I'm heading actually towards the southwest, heading towards the garage, and now I'm up probably 20 feet, and there's that old tree there again, showing itself up. And now the reason why I'm playing around the trees is, again, it's to hone my skills on precision, because there's a lot at risk here. If I miscalculate, or have a mechanical breakdown, and the unit were to fall into the branches at that high level, chances are I'd never be able to retrieve it. I mean, those aren't what you'd call friendly trees to climb, especially when you get into that kind of really dry, dead stuff there. So in ways I'm taking a chance, but that's the only way that I can be precise. And like, I'm new at this. I probably have only total of 15 hours training time on this little, I guess we can call it an aircraft, drone, whatever. Landing was a little harsher, but still within the acceptable. Now the nose hood is pointing towards the north from where I'm at geographically. And I'm trying to see some landmarks there to give an idea of what elevation or what altitude we're at. Now we're pointing towards the east, and some of it is quite stable, but we'll see flickers every once in a while. Again, from the ground, all I see is a little black dot up there, and that is the eastern. And there, I don't know if it's that I've maxed out my range, or up on the horizon there are some microwave towers, and that's what may be causing some problem. And like I say, since this is not first person view, I don't know what's I only know once the craft comes back and I look at the video to what it's doing. Now, one of the things that I can see, that if it was a first-person view, is a person could run into problems running into trees. Well, there's a light post and I'm going well above it, so from the ground I'm probably 60 feet, and from where I'm at probably another 100 feet, and that has to be calculated. And what you see in the background there is the St. John River, and the way it flutters, you'd almost think that I'm ready for a crash. But no, it's just I still have it under control. It's just you know, at the lower levels, a gust of wind is enough to you know, to make it difficult. And again, because I'm on the ground, and depending where it's at, it's just a small object. You know, and one thing I've got to say, once you get into the sky, you'll lose that depth perception. It's more two-dimensional, so it's really hard to say where it's at, you know, on the X, Y, Z axis. So it's I guess a thing of practice and practice and practice, where you may get a feel for it. Like here, it's not bad because I've got, you know, I'm close enough and I have reference points like that tree. You know, that pretty well tells me my position in you know, in space. But once it gets up to this altitude here, overlooking the St. John River, it's a different story, because I can't tell, you know, where it's at on that axis. You know, so, and if it deviates at all, if it looks to me on you know, on the ground that it's moved a ½ inch, in actuality at that height it may have moved 2 feet. So there's these challenges when you don't have the first-person view, and you know, you just got to understand a little bit about trigonometry, and that helps figure out how things are working. Now I'm going to do an entry. I'm aiming for that hanging Irving newspaper, and I just want to see what the resolution is, and can I just maintain it for a few seconds so I can recognize what it is. Again, at this point in time, I'm getting a little bit of wind that's coming in, so that's making it a little harder to, you know, to keep it. But I didn't crash into it, and that was my objective. Again, it's all on precision and not crashing. Even though the craft is not overly valuable, still you want to develop the skills that you don't crash, you know, to avoid it. And when I go up to my next model, you know, I'll just be much better. That's the game plan. And ultimately, if I'm going to have something catastrophic, it's better to lose a $50 drone than a $1,500 drone. You know, it's just a bit of common sense. And like I say, I'm a newbie. I'm just learning this here. You know, so I'm a long ways from being an expert in drone flying. So far, I haven't had any critical crashes, and I think we're just about coming to our end. Thanks for watching.